Hello, dear students, all kinds of viewers, spectators. Assalamu alaikum. I am Azharul Haq, Assistant Professor of English, Covilla Victoria Government College. Uh, I would like to welcome you to my virtual lecture presentation. This lecture has been dedicated and especially made for HSC first year students. And I have decided to work with Unit 4, Lesson 2. And especially I'm gonna talk about the themes and summaries. You do not have summaries of the poems. You have to write down the themes. But in order to know the themes, you have to know the summary as well. So, dear students, I would like to start discussing the poems which I have decided that I will discuss today. Unit 4, Lesson 2, and the name of the poem is Blow, Blow, Thou Winter Wind. So, dear students, please follow me until I finish. So, before I talk about the theme and summary, let's recite the whole poem. Blow, blow, thou winter wind, thou art not so unkind as man's ingratitude. Thy tooth is not so keen, because thou art not seen, although thy breath be rude. Hey ho, sing hey ho, unto the green holly. Most friendship is feigning, most loving mere folly. Then hey ho, the holly, the life is most jolly. Freech, freech, thou bitter sky, that dost not bite so nigh, as benefits forgot. Though thou the waters warp, thy sting is not so sharp, as friend remembered not. Hey ho, sing hey ho, unto the green holly. So this is the end of the poem. The poem is written by William Shakespeare, and it has been taken from his famous romantic comedy As You Like It. And now I would like to talk about the summary of the poem first, a little bit of summary, and then I will go for the theme of the poem. So what is the summary of the poem? Blow, Blow, the Winter Wind is a poem from Shakespeare's play As You Like It, as I've already mentioned. And the poem is an example of a type of figurative language called personification. That is, the writer has used some personified figures in order to embody the total feelings and total perspective of the poem. When writers personify, they give human characteristics to their subject. If you look carefully, dear students, in this poem or at this poem, you'll see that it's not actually about the winter wind at all. Shakespeare reveals his true meaning in the middle of the poem with the line, most friendship is feigning, most loving mere folly. He's saying that people are often not true to their friends or loved ones or beloveds, or that their friendship or love is not real and based on fakeness. He uses the idea of a winter wind, which could be painful, to communicate how much more painful the false love and friendship of a friend. So, when he says of the wind, thy tooth is not so keen, he means that the poem caused by the wind. In this case, the wind's metaphor is actually metaphorically used. The tooth of the wind can cause pain by biting, is not as hurtful as the emotional pain of the untrue friend or lover. So, this is the summary of the poem. Now let's go to the theme of the poem, which you will have to write it at your examination. Okay, the main theme of the poem is of this song is man's inhumanity towards other beings, other fellow beings actually. Man is so ungrateful and selfish that he doesn't care for those who were his close friends once. He doesn't remember them once his purpose is served or fulfilled. Winter is harsh, but the harshness of the winter's wind is not as bitter as man's ingratitude to man. So, what I would like to clarify is that friendship is completely a feigning or fake idea for some people. Love has been described as a complete foolishness or folly for some human beings. So, uh, actually, human beings can become more cruel, more harsher, much more, destructive to natural objects or other beings which are available in the forest. Or some natural objects are more friendlier than human beings. This is the theme of the poem actually. The poet would like to express his gratitude to the natural objects found in the surroundings. He would like to say that nature has been a benevolent force, guides and gives us shelter, which is not given by the human beings at any cost. More often than not, he would like to tell us that human being is selfish and hypocrite, but the nature is not. Nature always actually, accepts and gives more than it wants. So this poem is a clear indication of man's ingratitude, selfishness, and hypocrisy against another human. Man can become cruel, harsher, hypocrite, ferocious in course of time once his purpose is served. But the nature doesn't do that. Nature is always very much helpful and welcoming to us. So this is the theme of the poem. Dear students, now I'm going to switch another poem of your syllabus, that is The Schoolboy, written by William Blake. This poem is also very important in your syllabus. It's a long poem actually. There are 6 stanzas in the poem. I'm not going to read the whole poem because I have time constraint. I would like to discuss the summary and also the theme of the poem for your better understanding. So let's talk about the summary of the poem first. Summary of The Schoolboy. Actually, the poem is written by William Blake, one of the romantic precursors of the romantic revival poem. Very famous at his own time. He's actually called the trailblazer because he actually started, he paved the way for the romantic movement, but he's not a romantic poet. Let's go to the analysis and summary. Actually, The Schoolboy is a poem written by William Blake. This poem speaks of how a schoolboy absolutely loves summer, but he loathes the idea of going to class during it. That is, he doesn't like attending the classes. Once at school, the boy simply wishes he was at home and waits many an anxious hour for it to the end. He's basically saying that how can people be happy when they are always stuck somewhere they don't want to be? We should be doing something full of happiness and joy so that we can grow and blossom. This poem is written in 6 stanzas with 5 lines at each stanza. The rhyme scheme is A, B, A, B, B. The syllabus of each line changes throughout the poem. Some have 6, some have 8, and some have 9 syllables, and some have even 10 syllables. However, it's written in trochaic foot. Nonetheless, some of the lines are missing syllable at the end. This is actually the mechanical directions of the poem. If you want to get the summary of the poem, the summary is actually the writer has given the description of a schoolboy who has become very much fed up with his own life and doesn't actually cope up with the routine-based school life that was prevailing at the time of Blake and his contemporaries. So he was revolting against the rules and the administration actually run by the schools, and he wanted to go outside to enjoy the beauty of nature, surroundings, which is much more appreciative and welcoming to him. So this is the summary of the poem. Now let us talk about the theme of the poem. So let's talk about the theme of the poem. The Schoolboy. The theme of the poem is children's inborn feeling of oneness with nature. That is, the poet would like to say that a schoolboy, would like to live in an unique lifestyle of himself. He doesn't like to be binded with a circumstantial circumstances, circumstantial regulations of the society. Another important theme of the poem is the negative sides of formal learning. It's very important because especially at that time, especially the time of William Blake, the formal learning was very much, rigid. It was not based on friendliness to the students. It was rather based on a kind of harshness, coarseness, where a student has to suffer the torture, irony, and the sharp eyebrow of the teachers, for which they don't like to go to schools. So this one of another theme of the poem. The restrictions put by schools rob children of their childhood happiness. The restrictions that has been put upon the students are so heavy and so, harsh, that they have taken away all kinds of happiness, all kinds of joyfulness from a child's life. So that is another theme of the poem, another aspect of the theme of the poem. Too much do's and don'ts acts like a hurdle for the natural expression of creativity. Especially one thing I would like to add, that this theme is very much quite evident to our own time also. We give more pressures to our young kids or younger generation who goes to schools. We give more pressures, put more burdens and emphasis, which doesn't bring any good to them actually. Rather, it actually brings offensive outcomes in the mind of their life. So this poem is very simple. I'm going to repeat it. A child, when is brought or when is actually caught or captured in a cage or put restrictions upon himself, cannot actually flourish his genius. And too much restrictions and too much rules and regulations, administration only give or only leaves a negative impressions in a man's life or in a child's life, which doesn't bring any good to his or her own life. So this poem is the indication of that type of feelings which William Blake has tried to expose from the beginning to the end. It means that actually people should give more importance to the child's freedom, liberty, and of course their own upbringing. They should be given more freedom to live and work and play happily. They should study, but they should not actually nothing should be imposed upon them, so that this can be a restriction and this can be a kind of burden or load upon their shoulder. That's it. So dear students, I have discussed the two poems for your better understanding. In my next lecture presentation, I have decided to work with other poems. So I hope you have enjoyed listening to my lecture, and try now yourself to locate the theme and summary and write at your own words. That's it from me. So thank you very much, and see you again another day. Thank you.